Hello, hi everyone. I'm Brian Clark, the host of this show, Fix It or Feel It, a show where I sit down and offer support in the form of shared experiences on myriad topics, including but not limited to depression, anxiety, not eating enough, eating too much and then feeling the need to purge after, eating too much and then exercising so much that I reach the stage of burnout, relationships, breakups, not loving myself enough, loving myself too much, substance abuse, boundaries with parents, the all consuming dread of existence, and many, many more that I'm sure we will discover together. If you're a first time listener, it would be lovely if you could press that follow button anywhere that you're listening. If you're a returning listener, give it a like, put something in the comments for me. It helps Daddy Algorithm oh so much. And let's get into the show. How's everybody doing today? I am doing pretty well generally. I just got some blood work done this week. Results were great. My cholesterol was slightly high, which did lead me to, consider my age, my mortality. Generally, I haven't been feeling getting older all that much. I mean, I'm only 37, so it's not like I'm on death's door. But the cholesterol thing did make me think about it a little bit. But you know what makes me feel my age the most is the concerning amount of Bruce Springsteen that I've been listening to lately. I have never really been a Springsteen fan in the past, but as a straight white man approaching 40, I can feel the call of the boss deep within my bones. Been considering walking to Camden, to Newark, getting nostalgic for driving down the Jersey Turnpike in a red 67 Chevy. Even though I've never been. But other than that, I've been feeling pretty good. I noticed something that's been happening a weird amount lately, and it has been my ex popping up in my dreams a lot. This is a relationship that ended about a year ago. And in some ways, I still have not fully recovered. I'm still processing it. But what's making it at the forefront of my mind right now, I think, is the fact that I'm starting this whole social media journey. I'm posting on TikTok 2, 3 times a day and really grinding it out. And my ex had a pretty decent TikTok following, and she is the one that got me started on it. And not even just started on social media, but she was the first person that made me believe that I had something more to offer the world than just tennis instruction. My entire adult life, I have told myself that I am only qualified to teach tennis. I dropped out of school multiple times. I quit or got fired from every job that I've had after that. And tennis is the only thing that I felt I was good at enough or qualified enough to do for the rest of my life. And every time I would say that, she would tell me, like, no, you could do anything. She saw me in a way that I've never been able to see myself. And even when it came to TikTok, I was like, oh, I guess I could make a tennis TikTok or for the people that don't know me, I fell into cooking a lot when I quit drinking, and I went in with the same enthusiasm and gusto that I did for drinking. So I became a pretty good cook, and I would post all about it on Instagram, and I would spend 12 hours during a random Saturday and just make 5 course meals, everything from scratch. So I was like, oh, I could make a cooking TikTok. And she was like, that's all well and good, but like, no. She was like, the TikTok should be you. You are a superstar, is what she would say to me. And she was the first person, I mean, other than my mom, that believed in me so hard that I started to believe in myself and thought that I might have something more to offer the world. So now that I'm back on this TikTok grind full time, it's making me relive a lot of the experiences that we had together of building my first attempt at TikTok. And I would help her with a lot of her stuff. I would punch up her funny videos and give her jokes, and she would give me feedback and advice on what kind of content to make and how to do it. And it was one of the times of my life where I felt the most lovingly supported. And it's something that made me realize, like, that is exactly one of the things that I'm really looking for in a relationship. So being in this without her has been something that I don't think I've been like fully really thinking about consciously, but clearly my subconscious and in my dreams is like, nah, bro, you're feeling something. So I think because This is just so present in my mind and something that I find super interesting and challenging. We'll talk about breakups. I personally suck at breakups. I mean, I don't think anybody's good at them. It's one of the worst things about being a person is having a relationship end. When it comes to breakups, I was thinking about this a while ago, and the analogy that I came up with was that it's kind of like setting out on a road trip to recovery, to getting over this person, to putting them in the past. And when you first get on the road, this person that you're trying to get over is very involved in your road trip. They're sitting shotgun. They have the auxiliary cable. They're playing all the music they want to play. They're backseat driving a little bit, telling you to take a left here. They're navigating, and their presence is very felt. And not only are they with you, they are dictating a lot of what's happening on that journey. And the further you get down the road, maybe they're in the backseat now. They got their headphones in. They're watching Emily in Paris. And every once in a while, they pop out an earbud and they're like, hey, are we there yet? No, okay, cool. I'm gonna put it back in. And as you continue a little further down the road, you look back and now they're not in the back seat anymore. And you're like, I feel pretty good. I think they're gone. I think I'm over this. But then it's like one of those scenes in an action movie where like they kick the bad guy out of the car and he checks his rearview mirror and can't see him, but it turns out he's climbing up the roof of the car and he's about to jump in through the sunroof. So you think that you're through the worst of it and you're over it, and then all of a sudden she pops in through the sunroof and is like, surprise, I'm still here. And then eventually you can fully see them in the rearview mirror as you drive away, and finally, that person is gone. You can't see him anymore. So I think I'm in one of those phases where she kind of just popped in through the sunroof when I had thought I was in the clear. For me personally, I know what my biggest hang up is in terms of fully letting go. It's been about a year since we broke up, so in some ways it's a little embarrassing that I'm not fully over it yet, but I am a very sensitive and emotional person, and I love hard, and I don't lose feelings very quickly. Like in some ways, I feel like I still have like some feelings for all of my exes. Like if my high school girlfriend sent me a message on Facebook and was like, hey, you want to get coffee? I'd be like, oh, she's back. Not really. But my biggest hang up is, so I was watching the show Shrinking on Apple. If you haven't seen it, it is an incredible show. And just to summarize the whole deal, it's about a guy whose wife gets hit by a drunk driver. And eventually this drunk driver comes back into their lives and tries to apologize. And his daughter kind of connects with the drunk driver a little bit. It's making her feel connected to her mom in a way. And she decides to forgive this guy. But the main character can't get there. And he sits down with his mentor and he's like, why can't I forgive this guy? And his mentor tells him it's because he hasn't forgiven himself yet for all the ways in which he felt like he failed his daughter as a father in the fallout of the wife dying. After I watched that, cried a lot, and then thought about it, I came to the conclusion that I am having such a hard time forgiving myself for all the ways in which I feel like and kind of know that I failed my ex as a partner. It feels very much like a relationship that didn't have to end. I'm not saying it was all my fault. There's always two people in every relationship. Neither one of us did our best in a rough patch, but I can very clearly now see the ways in which I had come up short for her in a time when she probably needed me the most. And that's a really tough thing to reckon with, man. Like, I've been really beating myself up over it. So that's kind of where I'm at. I know what the deal is. I know that I need to focus on giving myself some grace and some compassion, the same compassion that I would offer a friend in the same situation if they came to me with this. Not always easy to do it for ourselves, unfortunately, but it is possible and it will get easier. I do know that. But I have done and have been doing all the things that you're supposed to do when you break up with somebody. I took plenty of time, more time than I probably needed. I'm still kind of taking the time. I cried when I felt like I needed to cry. Probably have cried more recently about it than I had any right to do, but that's my process. Like I said, I'm having trouble forgiving myself, but I forgave her long ago, fully and completely. I ate all my feelings for a while, gained 20 pounds. Lost 20 pounds once I kind of got back on track. I went to Spain for a whole month because, of course, I did. I ordered grief tea off a crunchy lady on the internet. Made myself a little ceremony and drank it, which, weirdly enough, did help. And I'm not giving full credit to the tea itself. It was the intention that I set to fully let go. That was, I think, probably the first thing that I really did that had the biggest impact. And again, it wasn't the magic tea that I drank that let me start to detach. It was that finally set an intention. That I said, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to make a move. I'm going to take action. One of the things that my ex and I used to laugh about all the time, which I think a lot of people don't talk about enough about breakups, is that they are embarrassing. I wonder how many relationships last weeks, months, years longer than they need to because people are embarrassed to have to do that thing. You know, like because when you first meet the person, you go to your friend and you're like, I think I met the one. And you're bragging about them for weeks and months, all the amazing things you guys do together. And then, a month, 3 months later, a year later, you got to walk back to your friends with your tail between your legs and be like, yeah, so things didn't work out. I still love them as a person, obviously, but it's just, there is a bit of embarrassment about being so confident about someone or so confident about a decision that you want to make where you think you're going to spend the rest of your life with somebody and how quickly that can unravel. And also, as somebody who has generally been the breaker upper in most of my relationships, I've only been like hardcore dumped one time. That was a rough one. But generally, I have been the breaker upper, and that is not a brag. It's like I said, I tend to pull the ripcord a little too fast because of my inability to sit with an uncomfortable situation. At least I certainly did in my last relationship. But generally, I've been the breaker upper, and I don't think us breaker uppers get enough credit. A lot of people tend to give the person that gets dumped the lion's share of the compassion and the pity, which fair enough. It does suck to get dumped. I know that it does. But it's also not super fun to have to break up with somebody that you were just giving butterfly kisses to 3 weeks ago, making plans to have kids together and retire in Greece. It sucks to have to hurt somebody that you care about. On Pete Holmes's podcast a few years ago, he was talking about the same thing with his guest, and he was saying how it's the closest you'll ever get in your life to being a hitman and planning a hit. You have to pick a public place, pick a time, strategize. What am I going to say? What's my exit strategy? How do I get out of there? And then you just go in there and hurt somebody that you deeply love and care about. So yeah, I mean, back to what I said in the beginning, the breakups suck. They are the worst. And it sucks that there's really no rhyme or reason or timeline that you can really count on in terms of when you can expect for it to be done. It's kind of like showing up to the DMV with no appointment. I could be in and out. It could be easy, or I could be there for 12 hours and end up sitting on the floor crying for a period of it. That's currently my deal. That's what I'm moving through right now. I know, and I'm confident that everything will be okay. I will figure it out. I know that I eventually won't be able to see her in the rearview mirror anymore, and I will reach my destination. And when I get there, I will check in to my hotel of healing, so to speak, and have that feeling of like putting my bags down and just laying down on that big, comfy, feathery bed. You know how you feel after a long road trip? I know that is coming for me, and I am looking forward to it. And I hope if you are going through any of the same stuff, that big, comfy bed of relief is waiting for you as well. That's going to do it for me for today. Today is Father's Day. I'm going to go hang out with a bunch of old dudes, talk about golf, talk about glory days. Speaking of Bruce Springsteen, talk about how their generation is a better generation. But happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Please leave anything in the comments. If you have something to add about a breakup that you have gone through or have went through and things you have done that have helped a lot, put it in the comments. Please throw something in there if there are any topics you would like to hear my take on. Give the video a like, subscribe, please, wherever you listen, and have a beautiful day. I'm out of here. Bye-bye.